Hey everybody, this is Larry. This is day 20th. Man, I don't know why it started at 14 or whatever it is, and then now it's 20th. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, join me on Discord. Let me know what you think about today's farm. 1669, merge in between linked lists. I don't know if I've done this before. Okay, I have. But they don't have the check mark on the old UI, but I like the UI better. I'm sorry. But I also haven't done it in like 4 years, so I think that's fine. But yeah, just kind of before I get started, well, clearly we're not doing a prefix sum for finally, but I think I got a couple of comments on my comments about like what I don't do it every day. I do it like maybe every couple of days, depending on what's happening in my life and what's inspirational and stuff like this. But I'm thinking about starting a new basically the intro that I sometimes try to be a little bit motivational, a little bit perspective, a little bit of industry, like a combination of a lot of stuff. And yeah, I'm going to try to do like a weekly, couple of minutes segment on its own video, so that people can, I guess, find it a little bit easier. And also, so I don't repeat stuff. I could just link to the thing. Like my favorite one apparently is the handstand, the perfect handstand by Bezos. But um, but yeah, so let me know in the comments if that's something that's interesting to you, and I'll maybe create a new playlist and we'll start it off next week or something like this. Um, because I think the journey is a lot easier when you find it fun. I mean that's obvious, and I know that it's easier said than done, and obviously there's a lot of this that is stressful, but I think it's not undoable, right? Or undoable. It's not undoable. What am I saying? It's not impossible, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Like, um, I think, especially since I think like a lot of, I mean, we talked a little bit about social media and Reddit and all these things yesterday, but there is a lot of like, well, this one is, as I said, there's a lot of like 15-year-olds, which no disrespect to 15-year-olds, there are a lot of smart 15-year-olds, but they don't have the experience in either case, and they just don't know what happens behind the scene for real. I mean, maybe they hear stuff. Um, and then the other stuff is that there's just like a lot of fake stuff, like people make up stories to be cool or whatever. I mean, that's the internet for you, right? Um, and even when the true stories, there's just a lot of like survivor bias. Sometimes they recognize it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes people appreciate the luck. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I did all this," But you know, uh, and you always only hear about the top stories or maybe the worst stories, like the best, like uh, um, yeah, like I got, I don't know, I interviewed 10 places and got or what and get all 10 places offers, or you hear the opposite of like, you know, I heard I submitted 1,000 interviews or submitted 1,000 resumes, and like only heard back from 5 people or something, right? I mean, they're both kind of on the extreme side, clearly, but if you find yourself unbalanced and unable to keep it level and kind of at the very least have a little bit of optimism, then then it's tough. It's a tough journey. I mean, I've mentioned this many times before, right? Um, like if you like another analogy is the gym, right? Like or just running, right? I actually ran a couple of miles today, and I am exhausted because uh I donated blood on Sunday, so like I guess my I don't know, my blood oxygen, some combination of all these things, it's not 100% yet, and I was just couldn't grind it out. But my point is that like okay, like realistically, some stuff is just not easy, right? Like, do I believe most people can run a marathon? Yes, eventually, right? But if you say like, oh, can I run a marathon tomorrow? Probably not. If you haven't been training for it, obviously some of my viewers might, but if you haven't run marathons before, it may be a little bit hard, right? Like, and even if you do, like, if you grind it out, you're gonna be recovering for the next like 4 months or something because, like, I don't know, whatever damage you do to your system, right? Okay, so Leetcode is not quite that. You can't really damage uh, your brain too much, I hope. But the point is still remains, right? Like it's a long grind, and you have to be able to pace yourself to do it, right? And one thing that I always warn about is just getting burnt out both on Leetcode and career as you kind of get a little bit further on that. And yeah, this is why I always advocate like finding small victories and small wins, because this is this feedback loop of like, okay, I am making progress. And that's also why I like contests a lot, because you could lie to yourself about anything, but your rating is your rating. I mean, unless you cheated, but that's just like, okay, that's a next level deception, self-deception, right? But like, if you do a contest, like, I mean, and you shouldn't judge yourself on one contest, because some, like each contest is just like weird, right? But in aggregate, as an average over time, you'll see that trend line going up, and hopefully that'll give you inspiration to keep going. Or conversely, to be honest, if you're stuck, you're like, okay, I am stuck. Maybe I need to change my plan a little bit, right? So same thing over there with marathon. Like if you pace yourself for a year to do marathon, like I think most people could do it. Maybe not like a super fast or whatever, but so same thing there. At the end of the day, you have to figure out what you want and whether it is worth it to you, right? I don't know. I nothing is easy, and the people who makes it look easy, they spend a lot of time to make it look easy. Trust me. And yeah. Anyway, okay, let's get to this farm. I didn't actually, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't intend to say all that, to be honest. Maybe I should save it for my next motivational episode or whatever. But definitely, it's still true. Okay, let's get started today's farm. Also, for the two of you who may be wondering as you're watching this video, yes, I got a haircut. In fact, I got all of them cut. Haha. Old people joke. Anyway, all right, let's actually get started. 1669, nice. Merge in between linked lists. Given two linked lists, okay, of size n and m. We move list 1's nodes from A to B and put list 1's nodes from the 8th node, okay, from B node and put, okay. Okay. Just taking a look at the constraints so that making sure, so we probably want to do this in linear time or mostly linear, like, maybe n log n if you, I don't think this is very rare that you need n log n, but, okay. I mean, a couple of ways you can kind of start thinking about it. The first is, of course, finding the node A and the B, or maybe, depending on how you want to say it, A minus 1 node or B plus 1 node or something like this. And then the removal is pretty, I mean, the removal is the hard part, right? The linking is probably the easy part because you just have to link two nodes, and if you have the A node and the B node, then everything is done, right? Roughly. I mean, I'm sure I'll find a way to mess it up. As you've been watching my video the last couple of days, I've been making a lot of silly mistakes. So I'm sure I'll find a way to mess that up. But in theory, that's the hard part. And this is kind of like one of those progression things, right? And it's kind of funny because we mentioned it on the intro, but the progression is that, and I to be honest, I don't know if it is that useful in real life. I mean, or even in like competitive programming, so like it's even doubly less useful. But maybe it's useful in interviews. I don't know. But the idea that, okay, how do you find the 8th node and the Bth node, right? And of course, this is a Leetcode problem. I don't have a link. Maybe someone could leave a comment on the comments. But there is just one that's like, like find the 8th node or the X node or Kth node on the list or something like that. And yeah, the idea is just to have 2 pointers, right? One to go up. Oh, I'm dumb. I mean, obviously the 8th node is easy. Wow, I am just being dumb today. I misread this a little bit. Okay, never mind. Let me retract some of the stuff I said. You don't need to, okay. For some reason, I was reading this as 8th node from the N. So I was thinking like you need 2 pointers, you move to that is a Leetcode problem, you could solve it. We move nth node from the N or something like this. Or find nth node from the N, something like that. But this one is just 8th node and B node, so this is actually pretty straightforward, right? So okay, so maybe we have a find function that just goes from the beginning, and then maybe like an X for the number of thing. And And the way that I like to do it is I always have a new head, right? So that it's a sentinel value, maybe a sentinel head. I don't know. Maybe I need a better naming scheme. But yeah. But then now so this assumes that we only look at the head. So yeah. So while next is not none, right? Current is equal to current dot next, and then maybe just like count is equal to 0, and count is less than x, maybe. I don't know. This may be off by 1. I'm really bad at this. I mean, I say that I'm bad at this, but maybe I'm not. Or like, I think I'm just lazy at this, to be honest, because you can figure this out, right? Okay. I mean, we can work this out. For example, if x is 0, then this will terminate before the first one, and then we return current, and current dot next is the first node. So okay, so this is good as long as we're in a 0th index. I have to kind of see whether okay, A and B looks like it's at least 1. It doesn't mention anything about 1 indexing. Yeah, it doesn't really mention that, but we can look at the example to see. 3 is going to be no. I mean, no 3 and 4, but which is 6 and 9. So it is 0th index. Then why can't you remove the first node? Is that just like an error? Right? That's okay. I mean, the constraints there are obviously could be arbitrary. It just kind of seems a little bit weird, obviously, where it cannot be 0, right? Because you can, or you should be able to remove the first node. Though I guess maybe it makes sense that you can remove the 0th node, because then like what do you return or something like this? I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, but in the beginning you can just return new head dot next anyway, because yeah. I mean, I don't know, because that's just list 1 and you can remove the first node anyway. But yeah, so then 8th node, so A node is equal to find new head A, B node is equal to find new head B, right? I mean, yeah, I know. In theory, if you do it in one pass, do both of them in one pass, it's a little bit more efficient. But sometimes you like that would be what I would call a premature optimization, right? You're optimizing for running time before you even, this is obviously a lot cleaner in code, so we'll stay that way. I mean, I say obviously, but then I don't know. My variable names are a little bit terrible, but but we'll ignore that for now. Okay, so what is the 8th node? Am I right? Right? Because basically, as I said, if we want to return 0, then this returns the first node, where current dot next is the so this return a node. So then A node dot next is the 8th node, which is important because then now we can just do A node dot next, and this one maybe is a little bit off because B node dot next is B node dot next is the beef node, so we might have to like the node after that is the one that we want to keep, so we might have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, so A node dot next is equal to list 2, right? That's actually pretty straightforward. We have to get the last node on list 2, which I was hoping that they would have it, but yeah, maybe just I don't know. Whoops. So then now this terminates when current.next is none. So then we can just update current.next, right? So then find last of this 2. And here we're not using the sentinel head, because I'm just too lazy to create a new one. Maybe we should create one for consistency. All right, let's just create one for consistency. Because I feel like maybe that's a little bit awkward, to be honest. Even though we don't need it, I was going to justify not needing it because you don't really need it. Because the first, actually I guess you do need it. I'm wrong. Because the first node, like if you have an empty list, okay, I mean it has at least one item. But I guess if you have an empty list, it can be the first node. Yeah, I'm wrong on this one because it could be the first node and you want to return it so that the next is going to be, yeah. Okay, fine. I'm wrong on that one. So b node last is equal to, oh, sorry, this is list 2 last, not b node last. List 2 last is equal to this, and then now list 2 last is equal to b node dot next dot next. We know that the b node dot next is not none because b node dot next contains the beef node. So then b node dot next could be none. But this can, oh, but I meant this. Yeah. And I think we are good here. Hopefully. Oh, we named some stuff, but then didn't rename it. Looks good here. I always in the OUI I have to do quick on use example cases. Oh no, find cycle. Oh, why do we have cycle? Oh, because A could be equal to B. Huh. Okay. I did make a mistake here. I didn't make a mistake the first time, but today, like I said, I'll find a way to make a mistake. So then A node and B node is the same. That's why. I can't adjust this to be a little bit more visible. I like the middle UI, but you know, this is still cleaner than the new UI. Okay, so 1 we move to, what is the expected? Okay, yeah, the expected is right. So that A node is going to be at the 0 because A node dot next is 1. B node is also that. Okay. B node dot next is 2. Huh? Where do I have a cycle? Actually, a little bit confused how I could get a cycle. I mean, it probably exists, but man, you're seeing a lot of like. I feel like I don't usually make this many mistakes, but the last couple of days, I don't know. I'm gonna blame it on the fact that I gave bud. Maybe there's just like a little bit less bud up here. Is that how that works? I don't know. Probably not. I'm not a brain scientist, neurologist, but A node dot next is list, which is fine. Is this wrong? I mean, it works for the other ones. Let me try real quick. Does that work? Oh, wait, what? What does that mean? Expected. What? I don't know what that one means, to be honest. Maybe you can't delete the last node. Oh yeah, you cannot delete the last node. Okay, fine. So then here, let's just add another one. Does that work? Oh, I mean, it seems like it works. So it's just like these things. Oh, I see. Because I see. Wow, that is subtle though. The reason is the reason is because A node and B node are returning the same reference, which is kind of what I wanted. But then A node dot next, because this reference updates, and that what that means is that this also updates next dot next, because A node and B node has the same reference. That is silly. Okay, fine. So then now maybe I want. All right, we just do it this way, so we store it where B node, or after maybe you could call it that, and then I think that should solve it. All right. Wow, that is a. I've been finding a lot of ways to be subtle, to find subtle bugs, but let's give it some this time. All right. Huh? I mean, okay, we have a streak going, yay. I'm trying to think how I could have cleaned this up a little bit. I mean, I don't like the way that this makes assumptions about the pointers. I mean, this one is a little bit less equal. Because the thing about this is that I did want this to be, I mean, I think this is one of those cases where this is why you don't depend on side effects. Even though technically this function doesn't have a side effect, but it returns a pointer that is, it's not returning a value, it is basically returning a reference, right? And when you return a reference in multiple places, they, you know, like the more you do that, the obviously the less great it is, as you can see, because it just, you know, bugs can pop up. What you could do if you really want, can you? I don't know. It's really hard to figure out what I would have wanted to do, to be honest. This one is a tricky one. Maybe the maybe I kind of, you know, maybe this wasn't a premature optimization with this function, and we had to get rid of it because basically what I wanted it to do is do two things with one function, which is not usually a good thing. And that's basically what bit me here, and that's kind of like a bad pattern to use. Oh well. But yeah, this is gonna be linear time, linear, or not even linear space. We don't even over one extra space, and we just created two new nodes and a couple of pointers. Everything is good. So yeah, linear time, constant extra space. Let me know what you think. How did I do last time? I'm just curious what I did last time, 4 years ago. I guess I just, oh no, this is, why did I do it the cheating way 3 years ago? I guess I was just lazy. So I didn't do worse than last time per se. Maybe this was a contest. Maybe during a contest, I definitely would do it in a cheating way, just to be clear, because it just, I don't want to do bugs like this, and it's just fast to write, right? But yeah. I'm going to do an extra premium problem after this, so stay tuned. But that's all I have, so stay good, stay healthy, take good mental health. I'll see y'all later and take care. Bye bye.